About 50,000 years ago, the Earth was home to the most fascinating creatures, including giant animals that looked nothing like their relatives today, and animals that made Ice Age a memorable era. These animals formed the Pleistocene megafauna. From North American mastodon to the giant Australian wombats, South American monitor lizards, and famous European mammoths, these were the real beasts to be feared. These giant animals are nowhere to be seen these days. And what happened to these fantastic beasts, and where can you find them? Continue watching to learn more about Earth's mightiest megafauna. The Pleistocene epoch began 2.6 million years ago and lasted until about 11,700 years ago. The Ice Age was the last glacial period that occurred during the later stages of the Pleistocene epoch. The fossil evidence collected by paleontologists suggests that many large animals became extinct in this glacial period. Collectively, they are called the Pleistocene megafauna. All creatures hailing from this tribe of animals are surprisingly over 45 kilograms. The animals we're talking about were huge, enormously huger than those. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you are back in a time when Eurasian hippopotamuses, woolly rhinoceros, mammoths, giant deer, and saber-toothed cats ran wild on the earth. The time when even rodents were the size of a bear. Jeepers creepers. Snap back to reality, this is what a rodent looks like these days. One almost feels an anticlimax, even a bit of disappointment, eh? How did we land from this to this? Researchers have dedicated their entire lives studying fossils and understanding the reasons behind megafauna's extinction. We have come up with 4 plausible hypotheses that explain why the most fantastic beasts on Earth have disappeared. These are overkill, climate change, over-ill, and second-order predation. Let's start with overkill. Geoscientist Paul S. Martin from the University of Arizona first hypothesized that megafauna became extinct because of excessive human hunting. At first, this hypothesis sounded a little crazy. How could humans possibly hunt creatures that weighed hundreds of pounds and made the earth tremble as they walked? But there is plenty of evidence in this hypothesis. Let us consider the direct evidence first. Actual fossils of megafauna found with human remains. The embedded arrows found in the megafauna's bones. And lastly, biogeographical evidence. In parts of Asia and Africa, megafaunal diversity is observed compared to America, Australia, and Madagascar. It is as if the Asian and African elephants and rhinos have gone wary of the human race. Similar incidents took place when the first Americans arrived in America. They invaded the Bering Land Bridge almost 14,000 years ago, and by nearly 13,000 years ago, most of the megafauna had disappeared already. Among many other theories, one that sounds most plausible is that early humans may have domesticated dogs and wolves first. They were used to pester the giant creatures. Spears and arrows were other possible weapons that might be used to reduce their numbers. The 14 kill sites where mammoths and mastodons became victims of Clovis hunting are the supporting evidence for this theory. The hunting theory still fails to explain the disappearance of certain megafauna's species, like the giant ground sloths, cave bears, towering elephants, and saber-toothed cats. Neither does it explain how did the species like bison manage to escape extinction. Could the rapid climate changes have led to the megafauna's extinction? Scientists who found their presence might be the reason beyond their extinction. In their opinion, it was the end of the Pleistocene Ice Age that led to this extinction. As the Ice Age ended, a 6-degree temperature increase meant more thermal stress for the cold-adapted animals. Thick fur covered the bodies of these animals to save them from the glacial cold. Sadly, this fur became the reason for their downfall when the temperature increased. It trapped excess heat, which couldn't be released by the megafauna animals, and became the ultimate reason for their untimely extinction. Only if our massive pals from the past could have migrated to somewhere nice, in time they might have survived. Did the Pleistocene animals also witness a pandemic? That's what the hyperdisease hypothesis of megafauna extinction suggests. The Aboriginal humans or their domesticated animals might have introduced novel, virulent diseases in the populations of native animals. It is not as if this is entirely unheard of. Humans were recently responsible for importing avian malaria to Hawaii. This event had a significant declining effect on the population of forest birds on the island. We also know mammals weren't responsible for importing these diseases. Their immigration from Eurasia into North America is unmarked with any drama. The smaller species survived such novel infections and diseases because of their traits. Shorter gestation time and greater population size worked miraculously in their favor. There is only one problem with this theory. We don't know any diseases that have or may have wiped out entire species. Or did the massive creatures disappear because they were in competition with humans for resources? That is what the second-order predation hypothesis suggests. Imagine a land where megafauna are living peacefully. But when humans invade the land and rely on the same resources as megafauna do, competition for resources develops. Now two predators are eyeing one prey. To settle the matter, predators fight each other. Thanks to their wolves and weapons, humans defeat mammoths and mastodons. Humans thrive. Most of the megafauna disappear from the site forever. The Pleistocene extinction model supports this hypothesis and suggests this is what might have happened when humans migrated from the Old World to the New World. No historical evidence of that exists, but an excellent job at assuming, nevertheless. Most of the megafauna today are found in Africa: whales, rhinoceros, crocodiles, and of course, the good old tuskers. You might have seen campaigns advocating fiercely against game hunting of these animals. Not only should we raise our voices for animals, but also for our sake. This endangerment has severe ecological consequences. Because they use a significant chunk of natural resources, megafauna species can bring about drastic changes in the physical structure of an ecosystem. Moreover, these biological, geographical, and chemical changes in multiple ecosystems can transform into regional and global climatic changes. It is just a poor rhino's horn, not from a unicorn. How different would it be if the megafauna were still alive? Imagine having a pet giant sloth or a rhinoceros. We will leave that to your imagination. The Pleistocene era is perhaps the most studied period in history. What happened during that time remains a mystery to this date, but data from research has given a pretty clear indication of the possible events that led to the downfall of the mightiest creatures on our planet. So, what do you think? Which event was it? Tell us in the comments section of this video. If you loved what you just watched, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel.